If you're a bit of an adventurous, outdoorsy type of family, here is your vehicle. This is the Ford Everest Tremor. It's basically well, it's not quite the top of the range. The top of the range kind of splits off into sort of like a Y. You've got the Platinum over one side and the Tremor over the other side. So this has the flagship V6 engine, but it is based on the Sport if you really dug down into the trimmings and all that sort of thing. Either way, it's a hardcore 7-seater off-road SUV. This example's got the optional front bar, so it's kind of, it doesn't look the best, it protrudes out a little bit, but it does provide more clearance, approach angle and all of that. And it's kind of scratch resistant. It's just a, you know, plastic coated metal bar. As standard, you get these AT3 all-terrain tires, proper chunky all-terrains as well. You got some side steps, gold Tremor badges, and then all of the black window surrounds and all the trimmings as per the Sport. And around to the back, this has got the tow bar fitted. So 3.5 ton towing capacity. It's one of the best vehicles for towing in my opinion, because you've got a decent GVM, decent GCM, and leftover capacities once you hook up a 3.5 ton trailer. Inside, you'll have to excuse the interior state, but I do have some shots that I prepared earlier. It's a very practical, functional, family-friendly SUV. We took this example for an interstate trip from Sydney to Gold Coast, about 1,000 kilometers, and it done really well. The only thing that didn't impress me much was the fuel consumption. I thought it would be pretty good on the highway. I think these tires would chew a bit of fuel, just the wind resistance and the extra weight, unsprung weight, pushing those things around. It averaged around 10.5 litres per 100 kilometres. I mean, it's okay for a big 7-seater. We didn't have it fully packed. I've only got 2 young boys. They're under, well, one's 7, one's 3. So it's not like we were fully loaded with heavy gear and heavy passengers. I was just expecting a little bit better consumption on the highway. I love the rubber floor mats. They're nice and heavy duty and they're kind of bucketed as well, so they'll catch all the water and mud if you're doing a lot of off-roading. And then the interior is a little bit monotone aside from the Tremor badges on the seats. It's all just black. So there's nothing really special that stands out in this one. I do like the fact that it's got some soft touch materials where you do touch the vehicle, but then more heavy duty hard wearing materials lower down. It's just plastic, but it's not completely scratchy. Like, it's got a bit of a tiny bit of softness to it, I guess. And in the back, again, you're gonna have to excuse the state of the interior. The kids have gone nuts here. We've got a flip down center armrest with cup holders. Just pop out there. And you do have semi-climate control. You can change the fan speed. You've got multiple charging options, USB and USB-C, and then a Australian outlet plug as well. And a decent amount of room back here. It's not the biggest 7-seat SUV you can buy, but I think it's totally practical enough for a full family. Like, my legs and my knees are nowhere near the front seat in my seating position. Got some room to move around as well. And even in the middle row, you do have a decent amount of clearance between the seat and the console. Although you can just put your feet to the side, I guess. You do have grab handles on the B-pillar and on the ceiling. And there's your climate vents, including in the 3rd row. This middle bench does slide back and forth. It's 60-40 split by the looks of it. Yeah, that's all stitched there. And then you can slide it forward to jump into the 3rd row. And in the back, look, it's not the most spacious, but it's okay. And considering I can slide that seat forward, that's going to provide more clearance. My knee's kind of hard up against the back of that seat. But yeah, if you can slide that forward a little bit, which you can do in the Everest, I think I'd be pretty comfortable. The seat back is almost upright and my hair is just brushing against the ceiling. But for kids, for sure, they could sit back here and be quite comfortable. Adults even as well, as long as you're not too tall. My feet don't drop down that much, which means my knees are kind of bent up a little bit. But yeah, you're not really going to get much better than this in this class. You do have a little 12-volt socket hidden away in the corner and some cup holders on both sides. Sorry, it's a little bit dark back here. We'll check out the boot space with the 7 seats up. Power tailgate in the Tremor. And then yeah, you've got some leftover storage there. It's not, again, the most spacious, but I think that's pretty good for this class specifically. If you if you fold them down, you've got plenty of room there. So even if you had picking up one of your kids' friends from school, they could just have the independent seat going, and then you've still got plenty of storage. You've got another 12-volt socket. Be nice if that was on that side, so this passenger could have access to that socket, and then the left-hand passenger has its own socket in the corner. You do have a little bit of extra storage under the floor. All right, we'll go for a drive. I'm mainly interested to see how it goes up the hill that I've been doing lately, and test out these general grabber tyres in the mud. It has been raining all morning, so it'll be interesting to see how it goes. Under the bonnet, the Tremor comes with the 3-litre turbo diesel V6 only. You can't get this with the 4-cylinder. 184 kilowatts, 600 newton meters, matched to a 10-speed automatic with part-time 4-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive, with a locking rear differential and a 4A mode, so you can drive on the tarmac with 4-wheel drive if you want to. I've just got it in the default 2H mode at the moment. As I've said before, this platform handles really well, and probably more on the kind of opposite end. I've test driven some utes and SUVs, and I've said that they don't handle that well, and then there's been comments, oh, what do you want to drive a SUV or ute in a sporty manner anyway? Well, this is proof that you can have both. Like it handles really good, but then it's still got the heavy duty underpinnings, it's still got a live axle rear end, and it still does excellent off-road. I don't know what it is exactly, but it just feels nice. Like I'm turning in here, it's not premature tire squeal or anything like that. You can actually push it pretty hard, even in these sort of wet, greasy conditions, and it's holding on really well. Like I'm surprised how well it can handle down here. This Bilstein suspension setup is very good as well. It might be a little bit firmer compared with the standard Everest, but I prefer something like this, because when you load it up, or if you're towing something, then you've got control and stability. It's not slopping all over the place. Not that the standard Everest is like that anyway. This is just on an even better level. So even around these off-camber corners, it doesn't get uncomfortable. Like it's not, oh, this is a big heavy SUV. This weighs over 2.5 tons. So it's not, escaping with lightness. It's a heavy vehicle, one of the heaviest in its class. But it still pulls around here like it's a sedan or a station wagon. And this engine, I know there's some reliability concerns. I don't want to, say that it's not reliable, because there's a chance that you buy this and there'll be nothing wrong with it at all. But I have read, including, first-hand, or not first-hand, second-hand, from like a good friend who has had one of these, multiple of these actually, and the engine hasn't gone down too well. But as it is, I'm just going to speak from my experience. This has been a great engine. It's very smooth, it's quiet, it's got plenty of torque. You don't need to push it very hard to get the job done. You can overtake really easily. And I'm assuming that it does well with towing. You don't have to, not straining the engine or a little 4-cylinder or something. Full throttle, it picks up quite well. It's not a performance engine, so don't expect, lightning acceleration. But I think for this style of vehicle, it is perfect. Cruising at higher speeds, there's not excessive tire roar, so you don't have to worry too much about those big tires. But if you are if you're considering buying a Tremor, I would at least have the intentions of going off-road fairly regularly, more than a few times a year, because otherwise you're just paying for these tires, and I think you're paying a bit more in fuel as well. But speaking of off-road, let's go and check out how it handles up the hill climb. Okay, on the dirt roads now, and yeah, again, that suspension is a little bit firm, but it's more controlled, especially if you hit a pothole or a corrugation or something like that. It's going to be more stable, and it's going to help to keep the wheels planted or the tires planted on the ground, especially if you load it up or are towing something. All right, here we go. So it has been raining this morning, as I said. It's pretty wet. It's not completely, saturated, but you can see it's definitely a damp ground. So as usual, I'm going to start with the most lowest mode, or the easiest mode there is, which is 4A. By the way, if I was going to attack this, if I was out exploring, or if I was trying to get to a campsite on the other side of this hill, I would absolutely hit for low range. This is what you need for something like this. I always just start at the absolute entry level mode, just to see how it handles in the most basic mode, but also so I can see how well these other modes like low range and diff locks and everything works. That way I've got like a bit of a benchmark, a bit of a reference point. I've got the four-wheel drive pages going. You can see there I've got standard tyre pressures, 39 on the front corner, 40 for the rest of them. The diffs are unlocked, and you've got a bit of a camera view so we can see what we're about to run over. I don't think 4A is going to get up here in the wet, but we'll see. I haven't touched the traction control button at all. I'll just keep the momentum going a bit. Yeah, that's flashing away. I don't want to churn it up too much with these chunky tires, so we'll go back down and we'll put it into 4L, low range. Yeah, you can see that it's ripped up the ground a little bit, so I don't want to change the terrain too much. I mean, other people do come up here and four-wheel drive or whatever, but I'll try not to change it too much so I can compare other vehicles. Just hit the button there, it's going to flash. I've got it in neutral. The DSC, or the ESC, sorry, has gone into its own mode. I haven't touched that. I won't activate the diff locks yet. We'll just see how this goes. So in low range, the wheels are going to be spinning much slower, and it's going to give us more torque through gearing. Much better. Oop. A bit of spray. Just go back a little bit. So that front right-hand wheel is leaving the ground. But it's not going to go up there, so we'll try out the rear diff lock and just see if that will help us out. I think it will. Just in neutral to let it engage. Yeah, much better. That still spun the wheel a little bit, or wheels, but it eventually got up with no trouble with the diff locked. And that's in the wet too, so you can see there that it's churned up the ground a little bit, but it's still got up, which is excellent. We'll go back down. I think we should be right, as long as I keep the steering wheel pointed in the right direction. So that's feet off the pedals, and it's controlling the braking and everything to give us the best stability, directional stability as possible. This is going nice and slow as well. Some vehicles I've experienced go a little bit too quick. I mean, you can slow them down in some cases, but just as a default mode, this is taking me down nice and gently, and it's not going crazy either. Sometimes you'll hear the relay clicking away, applying brakes and all that. This is going quite smoothly. Okay, now we'll go up this right-hand side. As I've said before, this is more about suspension stress. The moguls are sort of strategically placed, so you've got two wheels compressed and the opposite two are unweighted, which puts a lot of pressure on the drive system, puts a lot of pressure on the suspension. So we'll see if the wheels maintain contact with the ground the whole time. It'll give us an idea of the flex, and then see how the traction control system manages. I've still got the diff lock, still got it in low range. Nice and easy. Oh, got a bit of wheel spin happening. That just gives you an idea of how slippery it is, I guess. We'll try that again. Carry the momentum a little bit. It hasn't scrubbed out the side steps or anything, so that's good. And it eventually gets us up there. So it was a bit of a struggle there with wheel spin, but it is wet. I haven't let the tyre pressures down as usual. I rarely do that because I want to see how the vehicle handles itself. I don't want to help it out. It's like, you know, giving it a winch and pulling it up. That's not really testing the vehicle. But yeah, you could let the tyres down a little bit today in these slippery conditions and you might get a little bit more traction. So we'll see how we go over this little dip. It probably doesn't look that bad on camera, but it's quite steep and it is washed away more and more. So just here it drops right down and we can see if the side step scrapes and see what sort of flex we get from the suspension. The back rear right hand wheel will pop off the ground as it is now, but it didn't scrape out or anything, so that's great. There we go, the Ford Everest Tremor. It did spin the wheels a little bit. I mean, it is very slippery today and it is very steep, as I've said before. It might not look very steep, but it is seriously steep. There's some points, you know, you'd struggle to walk up that bit there just because it is really steep and slippery. It still went up once you got it in the correct modes, which is, you know, that makes sense. With the rear diff locked and in low range, still spun the front wheel a little bit, but it got up no problem. I think the Everest doesn't rely on electronics as much as some rivals. Like I've taken a Range Rover Sport up here with big 20-inch wheels, or 23-inch wheels, low profile tyres, and it drove straight up in the rain, but it relied heavily on electronics. I'm not saying either is good or bad, but that drove up straight up here without any problem at all. So it was constantly on top of grabbing the wheel spin, whereas this, it seems to let a bit of wheel spin go, which can be good as well. Like if you're in sand, for example, or thick mud, you want to keep the wheels spinning. So in that case, I would categorize this as slightly old school compared with some. So that's going to be appealing to some buyers as well. But anyway, it's still got up here, which is very impressive in these conditions. If you are looking to buy a 7-seat SUV that can go off-road pretty hardcore, then the Everest Tremor should be on your short list to check out at least. All right, let's go out now and do the performance testing and see how it goes.